Marshal Woodrow Eby III. Everybody knows me as Mitch, and I was an MR2 on the Simon Lake. My dad was in the Navy. He was a CB, and I guess that was a big part of the deciding factor. And when I was in high school, I was in a machine shop and enjoyed doing that. So the Navy was the only one that really had a MR type rating. Everybody else was an aviation mechanic or something. I like building parts and things like that. So I joined the Navy, and 10 days, I joined while I was still in high school in up in Hamilton, Indiana, northern Indiana. We lived on a big lake up there, and I joined like in February, 10 days after graduation. Just before that, they told me, oh yeah, you can go in later. Well, 10 days before graduation, they said, oh, we need you to go right now. So 10 days after graduation, I packed up and left and went to Orlando to boot camp. That would have been May, June, July, so extremely hot, orange weather flags, 1980. It teaches everybody to, I hate to say, use the word conform, but that we're all equal, we're all there to help each other, and you know, every day, sooner or later, you had your turn in the barrel, and they'd find something you didn't fold a t-shirt right, just to seem like everybody had their turn. And I got my turn. Got to go down on the company sidewalk and do push-ups, but everybody learned, and it was a great experience. But then went out to San Diego for MRA school, and well, you learn in San Diego. The MR school was to learn how to make gears and pump shafts and run milling machines and cut threads and build things out of steel. And then got stationed on Simon Lake and did the rest of my time there. I was on the lake from 80 to 83. It was actually, had just recently went to Kings Bay. Kings Bay wasn't even on the map. I was originally from Indiana, so I got out of A school, went home, packed up, you know, what stuff I was taking with me in the car, and took off. Nobody could tell me where Kings Bay was at, except that it was in Georgia. So I just drove from Indiana down and hit Georgia at the north border and kept coming down, and finally got down to the last 3 exits in Georgia on 95 and stopped there and got gas, and they go, oh yeah, Simon Lake, because nobody knew the Simon Lake. Few people knew about Kings Bay because it had just recently been converted from the Army depot to a Navy base for the subs. Well, when I got to the front gate, there was only one brick building. It was the KB Lounge, big 6-foot chain link fence, and some mobile trailers, a couple of guards standing there. So they check you in at pass an ID and tell you that just go straight. It was like, seemed to me forever, maybe 6 miles. I don't know if it's that far back. All the way back through all just pine trees after pine trees. There was nothing there because it was an Army depot. A few mounds of dirt with big steel doors on them where they would store the ammo when it was an Army. A few railroad tracks. Got all the way to the back. There was a parking lot back there, and the concrete pier which ran parallel. You got on one end and you could get off at the other end, and a big parking lot that they had just put down. There was no stripes for the parking spaces or nothing. And then probably had to walk, I don't know, 400 or 500 yards to get to the ship. And first ship I ever been in, and checked in and went straight to mess cooking. Anything machinist wise, that's what we did. Whatever parts was needed for the sub, if it was a pump shaft or a gear or a sprocket or whatever it might be, did work in place. Anything involved in anything made out of metal was an inside machine shop. They'd bring valves in, and we'd cut the bottom where the steam would cut seats, and we'd machine them out and put new seats in them. And 38 shop would take the valves apart, like there was a big steel, steam valve or whatever it was, and 38 shop would take those apart and then bring the parts up there that needed to be, repaired, and we would repair them up there. But we did a lot of stuff on the ship. Matter of fact, myself and Petty Officer Lee, we were involved. We did the first main engine job where you cut the poppet seats out on the steam turbine, and they usually had to take the ship to the yards to do that. But in Kings Bay, he and I made a tool that would go into that engine and machine out the weld, take the seats out, and like putting valves in, and put the new valves back in, which saved the military tons of money, because that was the first time they ever done it off-site, out of a dry dock situation or out of the shipyards. But we did everything. I mean, if they were, the hatch that goes down's got ears on it, the dogs, and they needed to change out like a 5 kW rotor, which was bigger than the hole. So they cut those dogs off. We changed out the generator, got it through the hole, then they welded them back up, and we machined them back down to the right size so that the hatch would close and lock. The trouble was, it seemed like we were always short-handed, and it seemed like there was never a day that there wasn't a submarine tied up. Sometimes 3 on each side and 2 on the pier, and they were all waiting on something. And if you only got 20 machinists, everybody's building parts, and I don't remember how long it was, but it seemed to me we went, I know, over 3 months that we were in what we call port and starboard. You were either day shift or night shift. You worked 12 hours. Never got, you know, unless there was something special, you didn't get leave. And there's 3 bunks. The lid holds the little 4-inch mattress, and all your stuff went in underneath, and it was locked. There was one on the floor, one about waist high, and one about head high, so you got to either pick a top rack or a bottom. And most people like the middle rack because you could at least stand there and open it up without having to lift the lid and stand on something to see where your socks were at. They, you know, they had the TV rooms and stuff like that. Food was good. We always had good food, seemed like to me. Had a bake shop. There was always stuff to eat. Always had a speed line. If you didn't want to wait to go through the line, you could always get a hamburger and fries, and which a lot of times if you were in the machine shop working and making a part that the sub was waiting on, you might have to go get a sandwich and come back and stand there and eat it to keep going. But outside of the ship at Kings Bay at that time, there really wasn't anything there. Lots of pine trees. They had a couple of places that had some ball fields and picnic tables and rec areas, but other than that, there really wasn't a whole lot on the base because it was brand new. We went out a couple of times. We went out and turned circles for 3 or 4 days just to keep, you know, the ship running or whatever, because we always had submarines tied up. And then one time we did make a trip and went to Lauderdale, I believe, came back. But when we were there, that's when they first started putting the women on the ship, where I met my wife. Well, I'd met my wife. I was on from 80 to 83. I think she was there 81 to 84. After I got out, we got married. I went to work at the local paper mill. She still had, you know, time in the service.
In Georgia?
Yeah. And then when she got out, she went back to work civil service at the base for the Department of Defense, and I was at the paper mill. So the whole thing was, when we got married, we were going back to Indiana. But in the meantime, my parents moved to Southwest Florida. I said, well, we can't go back to Indiana. They're not up there. And I'd had the job at the mill, and she had a job. So we stayed in Kings Bay, or in St. Mary's, I think a total of 34 years maybe. I guess it was 34 years. And when we got married, then that was where we stayed and raised our family. And she retired. They shut the mill down. I did a number of other things, but in life. But the Navy prepared us for, you know, prepared us for that, and it's all good. Well, I guess because my dad was in, and I think everybody has different personalities, and you learn to mesh all those. But I really almost wish that the United States had some kind of, you know, automatic, you had to go in and serve. I think that, you know, a lot of kids graduate high school and don't have a clue. They stay at mom and dad's, whatever. And that's, to me, I've always been a proponent of joining the military. Go do your time. It's not all, you know, shooting and guns and war, but you serve your time. Everybody learns to, you learn your place. You learn how far a dollar will go. I can remember getting my first check, and after a while I was like, shoot, I can afford to buy a car. Oh, I can go get rent. Well, come Friday I was broke again. But even if you spent all your money out on beer and girls or whatever, you always had a place to stay. You know, you always had clean clothes. You had a place to do laundry. So I think that it would benefit this country so much by making everyone do something and get involved, because then they grow up, they learn to stand on their own 2 feet and get away from mom and dad and always have somebody bailing them out. You're responsible for yourself.